One Jet 245 here, and today we're doing a little bit of a retro rewind here, so stay tuned. So this is the Lone Ranger and Zorro figures by the Gabriel, and which these came out in the early 80s, I believe, and I am missing a few in this collection. I'm missing the two horses for the Zorro figures, and I'm also missing Zorro, unfortunately, but and on the Lone Ranger one, I'm missing the Lone Ranger's horse. I do have the saddle for it, and I'm also missing the I think it's keep trying to say Butch Cassidy. It's not Butch Cassidy. It's that Buffalo Bill Cody. I'm missing that figure too, but all the other ones I have here, as you can see. So we're gonna kind of do an overview of both of these lines and what they had to offer, and and how cool they are. So let's get into accessories and stuff. All the Lone Ranger figures came with these very tiny handguns, except for Buffalo Bill Cody. Buffalo Bill Cody actually came with a lever action rifle, which unfortunately I can't show you because I don't have it. But most of the time when you find these figures, the accessories for them are never found with the figures. They're because they're so just very tiny. But you can see this is supposed to be like a Colt Peacemaker single action revolver, and now some of them, like the one I got with the bad guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but see this one's got some plastic around the barrel right there. To, but still, the other ones, I think that's the only one that's got the plastic defect. But Butch Cavendish is what the bad guy's name was. I just remembered. But as you can see, each figure has a holster which has got like an open back where you can slide the gun in, which isn't very secure fit. They always end up in the bottom of the bag when I have them stored up. But as you can see, they also have a trigger holding hand, so you can put the gun into their hand like so, which looks pretty cool. That would be a good way to display these if you display them, because the guns don't want to stay in the holsters very well, because they didn't. They should have closed the back up. That'd have been much easier, but unfortunately they didn't. But as you can see, you put the gun back in his holster here, and so I can show you now. Butch Cavendish and Custer both use the same legs and holsters, as you can see. Well, Butch Cavendish's legs are a little bit different, but as you can see, it's very the boots, stuff. It, mostly the same holster. Now with the Lone Ranger, he has two holsters and two guns on each side, as you can see, and which they are both the same gun, by the way. With each, all these have the same guns now. Tonto, however, is a little bit different. Of course, he has the same revolver, but instead of a black handle, this one's brown. So that's a pretty cool difference there. You see the silver's paint on it's kind of wore off from being put in and out of the holster. But see, it kind of goes in the holster like so. Tonto also comes with a knife, which is a pretty cool accessory, like a hunting knife. Which the way this is shaped, it looks more like a butter knife, but it's supposed to be a sharp blade. But I think it goes in like so. And as you can see, that's a pretty cool extra accessory that Tonto has. For the Zorro figures, though, now I'm just going to use Amigo because all the Zorro figures have the same accessories. None of them were different, except Zorro had a cape, but unfortunately I don't have Zorro here to show you. But you see, all the Zorro figures come with like a flintlock pistol. As you can see, it has a brown painted handle and has a holster, which the holster is actually longer than the ones from Lone Ranger figure. You can see it's a different kind of holster. Because flintlocks are a lot longer than a revolver, so you would need a longer holster for those. But which he can hold the pistol too before I put it back in. Which it's a little tricky to get in there. So there it went. Now unfortunately he don't have like a trigger finger, so he's not really firing this with his trigger finger. But still, he holds it in a pretty good aiming pose though. That's the good thing about that. His wrist is kind of tilted a little bit, so it gives him a good aiming pose, like I said. So get that back in, which you see does not won't stay in there, won't pop out. And the Zorro figures also came with a sword, as you can see. Now they all come with the same sword. It's the same sort of same paint and everything else. But As you can see, it's got a green handle, with some ornate details right there. As you can see, it's got a silver blade, which the paint's messed up a little bit here on mine. But he can also hold the sword, probably in either hand, but more meant for his right hand because it's where he would draw it from. But there's the sword in his hand, so you can get him in a sword wielding pose. It don't look as good as it does with the flintlock, but it still looks okay looking. I forgot to mention before I move on that all the Zorro figures have a place to store the sword too, which I don't store the sword in the sheath when they're in storage because it could bend the blade up. Because you see the blade sticks way back. Now articulation for these figures, I'm just going to use General Custer to demonstrate the articulation because all these figures have the same articulation. There's nothing different between Zorro figures and Lone Ranger figures, so they all have a swivel articulated head. Also have a swivel at the shoulder there, no arm articulation whatsoever. Also have some articulation in the legs, and also a bend at the knee. So for the sculpt design and color of these figures, I'm going to start with the Zorro figures first, and I'm going to start with Amigo. And as you can see, Amigo has like a yellow hat on his head right there, and a red mask, kind of resembling Zorro's mask, but Zorro's a little bit black, and the Amigo's is red. He also has one of them weird, like Colonel Sanders, like bow ties on right there, as you can see. And he's got a blue shirt on underneath a red coat with yellow accents. And as you can see, he's got a black sash, which goes down to his holster for his flintlock there. He's also got goes down for the sheath, which has been cool. They painted the sword sheath thing black to kind of match the belt there, but they didn't. And his pants, as you can see, have a yellow stripe going all the way down them, and as you can see, his goes down to a open cuff right there to where his boots are. So they're probably kind of like a Western style boot because cowboy boots are still popular in Mexico. And for Sergeant Pedro Gonzalez, I forgot to mention he does actually come with a removable hat, but unfortunately the hat is very loose on his head, don't stay on good. But as you can see, unlike the other figures, he has a very squatty kind of fat build. They made him look different from the other figures, and as you can see, he's wearing a military style uniform, from that time period, which I would assume probably late 1700s or 1800s. I would assume. I can't remember exactly, but as you can see, he's a pretty hefty guy. As you can see, he's big and round. He's got a big belly, and as you can see, he's got a sergeant's chevron on his arm there, which he can only hold stuff in his left hand. He can't hold anything in his right hand because the way his right hand is sculpted. But you can kind of get him in like in a saluting pose, sort of. And as you can see, he's got the same sword and flintlock pistol as Amigo and Captain Ramon. But as you can see, going down there's his belt, which goes to the sheath, which is white, which matches the belt, and like Amigo, and the holster, which is black, which the holster being white would look a little bit weird, but still pretty cool. And he's got on white pants and some black, cavalry boots. Captain Juan Ramon, as you can see, and he's got a really defined mustache right there, and kind of black hair because he is Hispanic, and as you can see, his uniform is much more ornate than Sergeant Gonzalez, and he's supposed to have some gold paint on his belt buckle, but it's kind of worn off right there. See, same accessories as the other two, same weapons and everything, and I think he has a Filmation on his back there, and so his Filmation also done He-Man, and you can see he's got some gold pauldrons. They should have painted the other side of the pauldron. That was a little bit weird, but that's an unpainted detail they left. But as you can see, he's got buttons going all the way down his overcoat there. As you can see, he's got the same white pants on that Sergeant Gonzalez had, and also the same black cavalry boots that Sergeant Gonzalez wore. For the Lone Ranger figures, we're going to start with General Custer, and as you can see, General Custer, has a very 1800s American military uniform on, and as you can see, he's got like the red tie coming down there, and he's got his yellow mustache and goatee, very George Custer signature, and also his blonde hair hanging out from his hat there. He's got a black hat on his head, and you can see he's got on white cavalry gloves, which I'm assuming is what those are, and he's also got the black belt for his holster to put his gun in there, and he's also got a yellow sash underneath. He's also got the buttons all the way down his overcoat there. There's a thing hanging down right here, so I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to be. But see, he they sculpted, his coat goes down over his leg there. And he's also got on very long cavalry boots, as you can see, with just his blue pants to his uniform. And as you can see, these boots also have spurs on the back. All these boots have spurs on the back, and spurs were a big thing back then. But so that's pretty much it for Fester. For Butch Cavendish here, as you can see, now Butch Cavendish has a clean-shaven face. He has no facial hair whatsoever. He also has, very, trimmed, short hair, very neat. And he's also got his cowboy hat with a green thing around the brim there, or this part itself, which paint's kind of wore off around the brim. But as you can see, he's got like on a vest that goes over his white shirt underneath, and he also got a red belt and sash for his holster and everything. Which he's got a thing on the side of his leg right here too, which I thought was the same thing as General Custer, but it actually isn't. As you can see, it's a little bit different, so it's not exactly the same thing. But going down, he also has there's his blue pants to his whole outfit there. He also has on the same long cavalry boots on as General Custer, but unlike General Custer, his doesn't have the spurs on the back. Well, as you can see, so that's a little bit different detail. It's a little effort they put in there, make him a little bit different. So now we got Tonto, which obviously Tonto is a Native American character, as you can tell, and so he's got a very got black long hair with a feather hanging out, which is a big Native American thing. And unfortunately, one of the eyebrows is messed up on my shade. It looks like he's only got one eyebrow. And unfortunately, too, mine has a bad crack in the chest right there. I'm not sure exactly what caused that, but toys bad they got played with. So I mean, that happens. Which the gun just fell out of his holster. That's a big problem with these. Let me get that back in there. So going down, he's got like a very Native American style clothes on with the fringes and stuff, which those are actually supposed to keep water. Water goes down them, and I think that's what the whole thing when it rains, it helps supposed to help you getting as wet. But as you can see, it got that his top ends right here, as you can see, and there's also a sash, and for his holster for his gun and a sheath for his knife go down to. He's also got a strap for the holster going around his leg, which is a pretty cool detail. It is painted. A lot of times that's something a lot of companies would have left unpainted, but they actually painted that, so it's a pretty some points for effort there. And he's also got his pants and also I think what are called moccasins, which was a big type of Native American footwear back in the day. And we got the Lone Ranger, which is probably my favorite figure of these, and you'll be able to tell here once in a minute once we start going to the details. But as you can see, he's got on his signature white, Stetson hat and also his black mask, and he's got on a yellow scarf thing around his neck there. He's also got on the kind of the signature outfit with the the Ranger suit, and he's also got two belts and holsters because he carries two guns around, which is in reality most people didn't carry two guns back then. Yeah, that's a big Hollywood thing. But as you can see, the holsters are exactly the same, and he's also got both guns in each holster. Yep, two guns like that does look cool, but like I said, in reality that typically didn't happen. But as you can see, his pants are the same color. Mine's yellowed a little bit, because it's kind of old. But as you can see, mine's got a bad loose leg, and that's because this figure's been quite played with. I mean, when you're younger, you play with things, so that's how that happened. And as you can see, it's because the joints stretched out right there. So I don't know if that can be fixed or not, but still, the boots, as you can see, kind of look like jack boots, but they're more like a style cowboy boot. You see, he's got spurs in the back of his boots too, as well. Now, both of these lines had horses, and I don't have either of the horses for the Zorro ones. But yeah, I have two of the three horses that were made in the Lone Ranger line, which they all use the same mold, but different colors and stuff. And now the Lone Ranger's horse, unfortunately, I don't have it, but I do have the saddle that goes on here, as you can see. So if I ever find one that's missing a saddle, I got a saddle for it, so that'll kind of help. This horse right here is Smoke, which is Butch Cavendish's horse. It is a black horse with a little bit of white paint on the top there. Unfortunately, one of mine, the ears is broke off on one side, which I actually have an extra one of these somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where it's at though, but I think it's actually got a good ear, so I could switch all that out. But all this on the good one with a good ear on it. But as you see, it's got uh, the straps around the head there, and it's also got the horse mane, which is pretty cool. He's got a saddle, which both of the things are missing them, unfortunately. But which he can sit on there. I'll show you in a minute. The tail is articulated, and so are the legs. You get like that Lone Ranger pose, which with this horse, you probably wouldn't pose it that way. But yeah, if you had the silver, I think is what the Lone Ranger's horse's name was, you could get him in that classic Lone Ranger pose. But now getting the figures onto the horse is pretty simple. You just kind of take and do their legs like so. And gets them on there pretty good, and you get them in a horse riding pose. That's how Butch Cavendish, sits on Smoke there, as you can see. So this is Scout Tonto's horse, and as you can see, it's got a brown and white pattern, and his saddle does have one of the things on the side there. I'm missing one of the things, but it's still got one of the stirrups. So as you can see, it's got the web gear. Both of his ears are intact. It looks like it's cracked, but I don't think it is. I think that's just a paint defect. But you can see he's got the webbing around his head there. He's got his saddle, stirrup, and everything. This one is articulated exactly the same as the other horse, and it's hard to get these to kind of stand up. So I haven't actually stood there. Let me get Tonto articulated so I can show how he looks on the horse. So as you can see, you put Tonto on the horse like so, and that looks pretty. That's a good way to display these if you display them, which he's not supposed to just fall like that. Yeah, there we go. So that's a pretty cool way to actually display these. So overall, these are actually really fun toys. And now, unfortunately, at the time period these were released, they didn't catch on with the newer generation because a lot of the Western stuff was fading out during the early '80s. In favor for things like Star Wars and GI Joe and He-Man. So these were overlooked by all those more popular lines. And unfortunately, a lot of these Western themed toys haven't really made much of a comeback. I think NECA made some of the figures for the new Lone Ranger, but I don't think they sold very good. And like I said, which is a shame because these were actually really fun toys, and I enjoyed playing with these in my childhood. So if you like this video and want to see more like these, give me a thumbs up, help me out a lot, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Till next time.